Now, let's talk about some smaller topics. Yeah, bonus clip content. Let's start with the International Ice Hockey Federation once again. Boom, let's talk about this. The IIHF to initiate review of Minsk-Riga 2021. Now, those of you that have been watching from our very first episode of the Europuck podcast 5 weeks ago, you will remember that one of our first bonus clips, it might have been our very first bonus clip, I can't quite remember, was talking about the rumors
I think it was.
Yeah, the rumors that Latvia / Riga were interested in looking for a new host, co-host for the 2021 International Ice Hockey Federation World Championships, if you want the full name. We'll just call it the World Championships. So they wanted to find a new host, or a new co-host, because obviously what's been going on in Minsk, there's been a lot. I've talked about it on my YouTube channel. We've talked about it here on the channel enough. I'm not talking about it again. You know what happened. But let me read this article, and Chris, I will get your thoughts. I'm just going to briefly read it because there is quite a lot to talk about here. So, during a meeting in Zurich, which is in Switzerland, very nice place, very good hockey team, the IIHF Council discussed the issue submitted by the government of Latvia regarding the status of the 2020 World Championship, scheduled to be hosted by Minsk, Belarus, and Riga, Latvia. In a letter submitted to the IIHF, the Latvian Prime Minister has indicated that the country wishes to co-host the World Championship. However, it may be unwilling to do so with Minsk as a co-host under the current circumstances. The Latvian Prime Minister has called on the IIHF to consider assigning the status of main host for the World Championships to another country. So it's important to mention, Latvia isn't the main host, so I'd imagine the finals and a lot of the playoff rounds or the sort of the medal rounds will be played in the host city, which is Minsk, Belarus at the moment, but given the current circumstance, Latvia are like, come on lads, let's find another one. So this is the first time that a government of a host nation has indicated its unwillingness to remain a tournament co-host with another host nation. So very unprecedented, according to the IIHF president, René Fassel. The IIHF is deeply concerned over recent events unfolding in Minsk, but as sports federation, the IIHF is not a political entity and cannot move a tournament for political reasons. I think that's a very fair point, but I think we're past the point of it being political reasons and more player safety reasons. But I digress. However, the IIHF is responsible for ensuring that each tournament host can guarantee the health and safety of the players, officials, and spectators. Took the words right out of my mouth, Fassel. The council will therefore put together an expert group to conduct a full review of the tournament status and consult with all relevant experts in the financial, medical, event, marketing, sport, legal, and administrative areas of World Championships. So they're bringing a lot of people together by the sounds of it. They will have the mandate to work out a clear picture of the situation to present to the IIHF Council during its next meeting in November. So, essentially, by November, we will either hear Minsk is still in charge, Latvia, you've got to deal with it, or based on the current circumstance and nothing has really changed that much, there's still protests, there's still problems going on in the country, it might be best to move the other host nation somewhere else. Whether that will affect whether Latvia still has it, based on the fact that they'd probably want to have somewhere that's pretty close geographically, I guess we'll have to figure it out. But this is an exceptional season. Already today, we have had to cancel several tournaments due to COVID-19, said René Fassel. There are a lot of factors that will affect our ability to host the World Championship, and we need time to take a comprehensive approach to exploring how this tournament can take place safely. So, that's what the IIHF president, René Fassel, had to say about this situation. So we heard the rumours that Latvia didn't want to host with Minsk given the current circumstances. It's not a case of they don't want to host with Minsk full stop. They just don't want to host with Minsk because there's loads of protests going on and a potentially rigged election. So that's the main reason why they're like, there's a bit of unrest there. It's probably not safe. So we heard the rumours 4 or 5 weeks ago. Now we've got confirmation that the Latvian Prime Minister has urged the IIHF to do something. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew there was obviously going to be, it went further forward from when we last spoke about it a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Not surprising at all that Latvia has put this forward. But I do think that the IIHF are making all the right calls against. They've set up this group that are actually just going to sit down and review it properly and go, right, what are the risks? What's the problems? What can we do about it? Is it going to be safe? And ultimately, they're going to come to a conclusion. And they're going to come to a conclusion or to work out a clear picture of the situation by November so that we still have plenty of time to sort stuff out in terms of moving it and sorting out tickets or any of the other stuff, even if we can have tickets, but let's not get into that. For people to sort out different flights, different hotels. As long as they do it early enough, I think they're doing all the right things no matter what they do. What they can't do is say 6 weeks before, oh, okay, no, we need to change the venue now.
Yeah.
So I think they're doing all the right things. And I think come November, when we've got a much clearer picture, they'll have obviously a better idea for us after looking at it in an awful lot of detail, setting up this group to do just that. So I think overall, I think, again, as I said a few weeks ago, at the moment, they're doing all the right things.
And as I said a few weeks ago, time is on their side still, and you made that point pretty perfectly. Obviously, the World Championships are usually in April time, May. It's April, May usually when they kick off. So by the time November hits, they've still got half a year to figure everything out. So by November, if they go, okay, we could progress further with Minsk being the primary host of the World Championships, perfect. They've got 6 months to make sure that they've got the deals and the agreements in place. They'll probably have some sort of contingency plan in place if things did spark up again and get worse. They might be like, okay, let's shift everybody to Latvia and maybe make that the host nation primarily, and kind of, it might take a little bit longer to get the tournament finished, but kind of similar to like a bubble situation potentially, where they all play in one arena and it's just constant like one after the other playing against each other. Of course, that's what this committee and all of these expert minds for the IIHF have all been brought together to do. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. It's one of those topics that we'll come back to in about 2 months' time in episode like 20 or whatever, and be like, here's the next piece of news related to this. Remember, we talked about this in episode 5, and there was all of this stuff, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's kind of one of those like running narratives. It's one of those side stories to the podcast that's like running underneath the surface, pops its head up every once in a while to be like, we've got a bit of news. Right, we'll see you later. And then we'll come back later. So yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I hope that everything works out for everybody involved. I think obviously from Minsk's perspective, it would suck if they didn't get to host the World Championships. Not just the fact that, we're bringing the best hockey players in the world over to Belarus to showcase how great of a sport hockey is, but also the fact that obviously with the current situation, it's not necessarily to be guaranteed, like you said, with tickets and everything, but they could lose out on a lot of restaurant revenue in the nearby area, in hotel revenue, in flights, in tickets to the games and concessions and everything like that. So it's going to be interesting to watch. We just need to wait a few months. Be patient, folks. Patience is a virtue. Let the IIHF do their thing, and I think we'll be fine, folks. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the IIHF. Let's move on to another topic that I just brought up recently, Chris. I didn't tell you about this one, but you mentioned it a little while ago with the Cardiff Devils. So I just wanted to give us a chance to talk about this, because I know it's kind of the only good news that the Elite League have had recently in the last few weeks. And for context, folks, England looks like it's probably going to go back into a second lockdown over the next few weeks and months. So
yay, 6-month lockdown and no Christmas.
Exactly. I mean, we've already been in lockdown for about 6 months, which is crazy. Like, people have been working
Well, it's
home.
25 past 6 now, and we're having another prime ministerial address at 8 o'clock. And the last time he addressed the nation, we went into full lockdown.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Let's put it that way. It's obviously been about 6 months since we were in a position where people like were officially working from home. Obviously, things have opened up again recently. Obviously hasn't helped, so we're all going back inside. I was locking down before it was cool, so it doesn't bother me at all. You know, like I've been locking down.
We're shutting pubs at 10 o'clock because apparently you only get infected after 10 o'clock.
Yeah, well, you know, because the virus is very kind. It waits until everybody's had a good time, then it's like, okay, now it's my turn. It's like a vampire, you know? It's like, it can't strike during the day.
Is that when you're drunk, you don't maintain social distancing. But if you ask me, I think it's ridiculous. But
I think when most people are sober, they don't maintain social distancing. But that's another topic for a coronavirus podcast.